White Beam, to me, is a very intriguing upset possibility. She should be 4, 5, 6 to 1.
It will be good horses, good races. Some of the top horses in the country are running, and I think the atmosphere is really different. Del Mar is a bit more casual, where it's a bit more, I would say, dress up, and the atmosphere is a bit different. That would be the main difference. It seems like Saratoga there's a lot more races. And competition is really good. I would say maybe Saratoga. I've been doing Del Mar, and I was very fortunate to have a very good business. So Del Mar has always been a good meet for me, and but it seems like Saratoga is as good as well. I don't think it will be fair to put Flightline as a benchmark, because he was just a pure talent, smart horse. He had everything and above. So I don't think it'll be fair for the other horses. But I've been lucky to ride very good horses after him, and it's always a pleasure to ride those kind of horses. Obviously, Flightline was extremely talented.
Interesting in Detroit, in my opinion. This is a horse that always showed a lot of potential. Exploded second time out, win by 4.
Here comes Cogburn, and Cogburn has his sights on Nobles in the final 16th of a mile.
There's a lot of turf in this pedigree, top and bottom.
It will be Cogburn on the outside, getting to the front.
The other thing that I like about Cogburn a lot is when I look at his Thorograph Numbers. He's got some fast races. He's got a 1.
And Cogburn under Ricardo Santana Jr. wins the Troy.
I love in these 3-year-old races. Again, those of you that watch the show and have been reading, my columns and a lot of my handicapper things over the years know I like up and comers. I like betting horses to do things that maybe we can anticipate that some others can't, and that's how you sometimes beat a lot of favorites. I like program trading.
And program trading, resilient coming back on the inside. Program trading would not be denied.
White Barrio is very interesting to me for a couple of reasons. We heard from Blake, we know what the bond thinks, okay? Second time Rick Dutrow. This time gets the jump from the catbird seat and turning for home. White Barrio was going to be in the race, if not on the lead, in the race, and the one they got to go get.
They're at the top of the stretch in the Whitney, and White Barrio is the leader narrowly over Giant Game.
We've had Irad breezing him a bunch at Belmont before he came up here. I know Irad really likes him. We think that he should improve off of his last race. And, if he gets a clean trip, we're expecting him to run big.
Look at White Barrio and Irad Ortiz Jr. in a runaway. White Barrio wins by almost 6 lengths.
Rhyme schemes on the outside, the bottom horse for Norm Cassie. Horse didn't do a lot of running first time out at Churchill Downs, going 5/8 of a mile, and what I thought was a pretty fast race on not such a fast track that day. He was 6 by 9, didn't really do any running, but he only went off, 6, 7 to 1, so he took some money, and that turned out to be a very live race. Bunch of horses come out of that race to win, which I like with 2-year-olds.
And they're off, and Woodcourt flies out of the gate, immediately joined by Market Street, and these two duel through the opening furlong. Rhyme Schemes gets a good spot, 2 off the pace in third.
But he can certainly clear, and Santana is aggressive. And I can see this horse going 2 for 2 with the blinkers, and I'm hoping that they bet Pletcher's horse and the other horse.
And now Rhyme Schemes makes the move at the top of the stretch. It's a good one, too. Rhyme Schemes takes over, opens up 2 on Market Street in second. In the center of the track, it's Hall in third, but with a furlong left to go, Rhyme Schemes is long gone. A spectacular display from Rhyme Schemes, running home all alone in the Saratoga Special by 8 or 9 lengths.
Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com. Hello, everybody. It is the last episode of Saratoga Saturday for the 2023 meet. And yes, by any standard, it has been a rough meet. But it's the last show, last weekend, until next year when we start up Saratoga Saturday again. It's also Pacific Classic weekend. They're running at Kentucky Downs, so there's a lot of racing going on, a lot to talk about. But before we get into Saratoga Saturday, we're going to start like we usually do with our ice cold brewed, delicious Sure Bet coffee that makes us a winner right out of the box. We're going to talk a little bit about the meet and some takeaways, and then we'll get into a few spots on the card, and we'll wrap up our final show. So hang tight.
Tracking trips with Pick 6 King John Stetton. It's one of the best tools in horse racing for any level of player. It's your second set of eyes, spotting troubled trips, betting angles, track trends, horses to watch and favorites to fade, 10 figs, ticket structure, and more. At Tracking Trips, you're a friend with benefits. Not a member? You must hate winning money. Join Tracking Trips now. Visit PastTheWire.com and we'll see you in the winner's circle. Remember, nobody does it better.
Frankie Dettori. Ciao, Frankie. Tutto a posto.
Tutto a posto. Yes, that's a good start. So you haven't lost your Italian.
Frankie Dettori, legend, world-class jockey, one of the best ever to sit in the saddle, ambassador to the sport of kings. Meet Frankie during his fanfare like never before, only on Past the Wire TV.
You know, Saratoga has always been a very, very tough, very, very competitive meet. And it's always been subject to a couple of, inherent issues that we've got to deal with. Rain, off the turf, late changes. And, as they've stretched the meet out and made the meet longer, those things have become more prevalent and have occurred with more frequency. It's only, a numbers game. It's, bound to happen. But this year was definitely, the best thing we could say is was just marred by two horrible tragedies combined with a bunch of other tragedies that were less in the limelight but equally as bad, because whenever we lose a horse, and we lost our share at Saratoga this year, it's just a tragic thing, but it's caused some discussion for ways to improve the game. The synthetic track discussion is now back on the table. We're going to get into that at another time on another show. And we'll talk a lot about that and really deep dive it. I think it needs to be done, and I think it needs to be done objectively. But in addition to the tragedies that we had to witness, and both were eerily similar in that they were very similar type of horses, although one was colt, one was a filly. They were both three. They were both extremely fast. They have both been yet to lose. They were both on their ways to winning grade ones. And you just don't see two eerily similar things like that happen so close together. It reminded me of the two Saffie Joseph horses at Churchill Downs that, inexplicably passed on the racetrack, and, just things we don't see too often, and we don't want to see it all. But we did. And we had a lot of off the turf races. We had a lot of steward fiascos with inconsistent calls. Handle, I believe, was down. So, all in all, it'd be tough to say it was a successful Saratoga meet for those reasons. On a personal betting note, Whitney Day alone made more than my meet, but what happened made it tough to enjoy and tough to savor. So the best that we can hope for, and what we want to hope for, and what we want to strive to do is learn from these things, make things better, make things safer, and do all that we possibly can in the most intelligent, objective fashion to make things better for our horses and our human athletes as well. But there's a huge difference between our equine and human athletes, and that is that the human athletes have chosen to be there. The equine ones have not. We've put them there, so we owe them everything, and the greatest care, and the greatest safety, and the greatest environment that they can possibly have during their racing career and after their racing career. And there are a lot of people. I mean, Sure Bet Coffee donates to Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. We're big supporters of Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. Those of you who know me know I'm involved in rescue and trying to save as many horses and other animals as we can. And when you do that kind of work and you do that kind of thing, it's funny. At least for me, it is, because I've saved so many, and those are very rarely the ones that I think about. The ones I think about most are the ones that I couldn't save for one reason or another. And that's a broken heart you carry all the time, when you're involved with animals. And, horse racing is a tough game. It is not for the faint of heart. It's the highest highs and the lowest lows. We don't often see the lowest lows as close together and as grouped together as we have this past Saratoga meet. So we dedicated one show to Maple Leaf Mel. We're going to dedicate this one again to Maple Leaf Mel, New York Thunder, and all the other thoroughbreds who we lost at Saratoga this meet. And there's quite a few of them. So with that, we'll take a little break. We'll come back. We'll talk about a couple of spots on the card. We'll try and, end this meet on two positives. One, a couple of winners. Two, something to learn and build off and strive to minimize and prevent going forward, because we got to do it. We got to do it. I mean, if we don't do it, we're just not doing what we're supposed to be doing, and not paying these horses what we owe them. So we got to do it, and I intend to do it and lobby for it and push for it, because that's what I believe in my heart. So hang tight. We'll be back and we'll get into the Saratoga Saturday card, closing Saturday at the Spa.
Classic. Vino Rosso has taken the lead, and it's a vintage performance by Vino Rosso.
Hi everybody, Dan Oman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free, exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING, get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator, exclusively on DRF Bets.
It is here, the big day, the day almost all of us in horse racing wait for, Breeders' Cup Saturday. It looks like we're going to see some really, really impressive races on Saturday. It starts with the filly and mare sprint. One of my stronger opinions on the card is Goodnight Olive to start things off. I think she gets a perfect trip.
Goodnight Olive, 6 in a row, and a Breeders' Cup champion.
We've got Modern Games going in the Turf Mile for Godolphin. The Godolphin and Aidan O'Brien horses, we said on Past the Wire TV all week long on the backside, those two contingents stuck out from all the rest. Modern Games looking for a big race from him.
Modern Games, storming down the center of the course. Modern Games, a two-time Breeders' Cup winner. You bet he is.
That is Rebels Romance, who in my humble opinion is one of Godolphin's better chances this year.
Rebels Romance is a very, very good looking Godolphin horse that can absolutely win this race. Rebels Romance is a must use.
Rebels Romance, rolling on the outside. Warlock got it. Makes her bid down toward the inside. Rebels Romance down the center of the course. Has it close to home. Rebels Romance wins the turf over Stoney.
We got Flightline that they're putting in the best ever category. There's no question that the race he ran in the Pacific Classic is one of the best races we've seen any racehorse run ever.
It is Flightline. It is mind-tingling, jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring, Secretariat-like.
Well, I gotta say, to be fair, I'm an East Coast guy, but when you stack up the Pacific Classic against the Jockey Club Gold Cup, the Pacific Classic wins by a lot of lengths. This is probably one of the weaker Jockey Club Gold Cups that we've seen up at Saratoga in a long time. Even at Belmont, it's just a really light rendition. But that said, I do have an opinion on the race, so we'll get to that. There's a couple of other stakes on the card. We've got the usual Saratoga maiden races. I'm not going to dive into those. I'll leave that for PastTheWire.com and the 2-year-old Edgeman, who's been attacking those races with brilliance all meet long. So all you edgies that have been following him, you can check out what he likes in the 2-year-old races. I'm going to go for the stakes. Maybe we could have another Whitney Day card with a couple of winners, but I don't know. doesn't start off very promising with the grade 2 Flower Bowl that starts off with a relatively small field of 4 horses and a very heavy favorite in McCulloch, who is going to be very tough to beat. There's no, real pace scenario to decipher. This looks like a gallop around for a while and then, kind of sprint those last 3/16 of a mile to the wire. But, we'll see what happens. I will say this. Last time out, I thought Amazing Grace was going to have a chance to beat McCulloch. She was too far back off a ridiculously dawdling pace. Made a move, didn't get through, didn't get the best of trips. With a better trip, without the check, without the, lagging far behind, it's not impossible for her to turn the tables on McCulloch. The thing of it is, she's not going to be much of a price herself. You got one's going to be 3 to 5, the other one's going to be 6 or 7 to 5. So there's not a lot of value to be had, or even created. I like to be able to create value in these races. This one's going to be tough to do that, but it looks like that's where the winner comes from. But when we get to the very next stake race on the card, which is not the next race on the card, it's a couple of races later, the grade 2 Peoris at 3/4 of a mile, I do have a little opinion there. I think we can beat Brad Cox's favorite, who, on paper looks tough, perfect setup for Dazzling Blue, plenty of speed in the race, looks like she's well drawn in the 5-hole to stalk and pounce. But Jersey Pearl on the rail had a really, really rough trip in the ill-fated test. She wound up in a bad spot in that race. And I thought going into the race, and we can just draw a line through it. I thought going into that race, she was 15-1 and did have an upset chance. As it turned out, nobody was beating, Maple Leaf Mel, but she did have a really good pattern going into that race. On Thorograph, she had some really fast races. She was going to get overlooked because they were out of town and not really at tracks that were going to attract a lot of attention. But drawing the line through that race, now her coming back in what I consider to be a much, much, much softer spot, I think she's live. And I think if we can get 3-1, 7-2, 5-2 on her to beat that favorite, it's fair. And you get IRAD as well. So there's nothing wrong with that. She's got to cut back from 7 to 6. I don't think that's a problem for her. She doesn't need the lead. She can sit a trip off the speed in there. And if IRAD could make a better move or a more timely move or a luckier move than Joelle can, who is, theoretically better drawn outside, she's not a big price, but I think we can beat her. So I'm going to take a little shot with Jersey Pearl in there coming out of the test and see what, if anything, she can do from that rail draw, which brings us to the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Like I said, there's a lot of maiden races. I'm going to let the 2-year-old Edgeman tackle those for you. There's the Harvey Pack, a race I really didn't like anything at Turf Sprint. But when we get to the Jockey Club Gold Cup, weak rendition, yes, but somebody's going to win it. So if you've got the winner and they're a nice price, whether it's a weak rendition or not, who cares? And whether it's, as good a race as the Pacific Classic, that really doesn't matter either if you cash in your ticket, because the money is still the same. Proxy is going to be the favorite, nice horse, but certainly not a world beater. Certainly not a horse that you can't beat at 1.25 miles. Actually has never won at 1.25 miles. So I think this race is ripe for an upset. And I think that there's a horse that's really, maybe still an up and comer. I mean, Rattle and Roll is going to be the co-favorite, take a lot of money, dangerous horse, no question about it, can definitely win. But another one who is not a world beater. So you got two horses that are both going to be short prices, both, favorite and co-favorite. Neither one is a world beater. So to me, I've got to take a shot against them. And I land on the bottom horse, Bright Future, for Todd Pletcher. 1-for-1 at Saratoga. You all know how much I like that. And we all know that all meet long, the horses that went over the track, the horses that like the track have come back to win. It's been like we said at the beginning of the meet, a highly successful angle, high percentage angle, and I don't expect that to change the last couple of days. And I think Bright Future, always meant to be a distance horse, ran a mile first time out at Gulfstream, won going a mile, come back going a mile at Belmont, come back going a mile at Gulfstream, had some layoffs, but now is on a 4-race roll. I have no idea what happened in the Brooklyn when he finished 43 lengths back, eased. Okay. So I'm drawing a line to that because he came back from that race. That was his only race without Lasix. And he doesn't run with Lasix on Saturday. So maybe that's a concern for some of you. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to just say fluke. Todd's running him. Maybe he bled that day. Hopefully he won't bleed on Saturday, if that's even what it was. But he came back from that race, ran 2 turns, 1 1/8, drew off at Saratoga under Javier Castellano, 4-year-old Curlin colt out of a Belly Road mare. And, if nothing else, he can stalk. He's got upside. If he can run a race without Lasix, and he's worked well coming into this race, so I'm assuming he's working without it. I don't see any reason why this horse can't run a big race and can't step up and make enough noise to beat horses like Proxy and Rattle and Roll, who again are nice horses, but no world beaters. Other horses that I looked at long and hard in there were Warrior Journey, who is another one who's 1-for-1 at Saratoga. Coming in off a little bit of a layoff, would have to, move up, but not move up a lot. And then, the other horse that I thought was a little interesting was Tyson, who is, 4 for 5, but they're all on synthetic. He's a Tappet out of a Smart Strike for Josie Carroll. He doesn't even show any works on the dirt, so I don't know how he's going to handle it. He's certainly bred to handle it, being a Tappet, but he's a question mark. Manny Franco's a riding good. I would go to him before I would go to Warrior Johnny. So, for me, if I was, playing the late pick 5 or pick 6 or anything like that, Tyson and Bright Future are the two that I would use. But I tend to lean a little bit to Todd Pletcher's horse, but those are really the two that I gravitate to, and will, try and close out Saratoga Saturday in the Jockey Club Gold Cup with, trying to capitalize on Bright Future and maybe having a multi-race bet with Bright Future and Tyson, who's both should be nice prices. I mean, Bright Future 6-1 on the morning line, he should be every bit of that. And Tyson should probably be a little bit even higher than that. So those are the two that I land on in that race. So we got a couple of spots we're looking at. We've got early on the card, Jersey Pearl. We've got those two that look good, but Bright Future we lean to in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. So maybe we can make a little something happen in that race. We got to beat Proxy and Rattle and Roll, but again, we discussed it. They're no world beaters. So with that, thank you everybody for watching and supporting Saratoga Saturday. All meet long. It was a rough meet. We got through it together. Better things coming. A lot coming at Past the Wire and on Past the Wire TV. Yes, we are going to have the Pacific Classic by the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns. As soon as the Thoragraphs come out, we'll be getting that show up. A lot of stuff leading into the Breeders' Cup and a lot of stuff at the Breeders' Cup. So hang with us and be part of the clan, and it'll be worthwhile. We had a couple of really, really nice winners. We started out with White Beam on a bang. Couple of others, we had that 2-year-old stake winner. We had probably the best Whitney day that anybody's ever had. So we made our share of noise on Saratoga Saturday, that's for sure. And I'm glad that you all were a part of it and all watched. Again, we get through these tough times. This was a tough meet. We'll get through it, learn from it, and hopefully make things better going forward. Gotta have that fighting attitude, and we will do it. So with that, thank you everybody. I hope you had as good a meet as you can or could under the circumstances. New York Thunder, Maple Leaf Mel, and all the others. This show is for all of you, not for any of us. And let's get a winner in your honor, and let's make things better in all of your names. So with that, we'll be back with the Thorograph Show before you know it. Ciao for now. Does it better.